Dave, how are you, sir?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm good. Boy, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. First of all, I want to address your piece at National Review Online, Turning Gun Owners Into Felons. Every gun owner needs to read this so they can understand what this so-called universal background check bill is all about. Dave, let's call it universal record keeping, because that seems to be what the gun control advocates are really aiming for here. They say a background check bill without record keeping would be toothless.
Well, and there's something to that. And in fact, indeed, as the National Institute of Justice reported in a memo to President Obama in January, which was secret but leaked and is now on the NRA website, universal background checks without universal gun registration are ineffective.
Mm-hmm. Right. And so if you can't call for registration, if you require every private transfer to have a paper trail, then in essence, Dave, what you end up with is a decentralized registry. There's not one big, warehouse full of boxes like in, Indiana Jones where they threw the Ark of the Covenant. But
yeah,
but you've got the records there in multiple locations, in thousands of locations around the country.
Yeah, and certainly less of a problem than a centralized registry. But registration is still registration. But I think that the key thing here is, that's an interesting policy issue to discuss, but the bill that Senator Reid has brought up, which incorporates language from Senator Schumer, which is copied verbatim from Michael Bloomberg's minions, is not about individuals selling guns to each other. That's about 1/1000th of what it covers. I've never sold a gun in my life, and I hope I never do. I like to keep all my guns. But I've done hundreds of gun transfers, which means, like when I'm teaching one of the NRA safety classes, as you know, one of the things you do, and not all classes take place at a range, and it may take place at a school or an office building or whatever, and one of the things you do is the instructor brings in several, usually of his own, unloaded guns, no ammunition is allowed in the room, and then using dummy ammunition, the students practice how to load and unload the guns, how to press the trigger, and also how to hand a gun to each other safely. So in that class where zero firearm sales take place, but we've got, we may have 6 guns moving around from hand to hand, we could have literally hundreds of firearms transfers.
Absolutely.
And according to the Schumer bill, the Bloomberg bill, the bill that is right now in front of the Senate, every one of those requires a background check before it can take place. And if you don't, you're in the same status as if you knowingly sold a gun to a convicted violent felon.
That's amazing. I mean, if you were to come visit me, Dave, and we were to go out down by the creek, and which is where we do a little shooting, and we were to do a little shooting, and I were to loan you a firearm, I understand that too would be a 5-year felony.
Yes, and then let's say I hand the gun to your wife because it's her turn to shoot.
Mm-hmm.
We got another federal felony. Now, so the Schumer bill would allow us to, if we're inside your house or on your porch, you can take out your gun and you can hand it to me and I can hold it for a while there. But once we go out onto your property where we can safely shoot, then it's the same. We have to go through background checks just as if you were selling guns.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Now, I've got to ask you, Dave, while we've got you here, the other big story out of Colorado right now is the release of these records in the Aurora shooting case. And as ABC, KUSA reported, I guess, a University of Colorado psychiatrist had told campus police a month before this attack that James Holmes had homicidal thoughts, was a public danger, said that Holmes had also threatened and harassed her via email and text messages, again, a month before the attacks.
Yeah.
And apparently nothing happened, Dave Kopel.
Yeah, well, that is the problem, and Jared Loeffner was not exactly, known as the nicest guy in town. I mean, he got kicked out of Pima Community College because he was a dangerous, mentally ill nut.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing happened there either.
But, again, we're told that the way to make sure that this doesn't happen in the future is to go after the law-abiding Coloradans and law-abiding Americans out there.
Well, right. So, and theoretically, he would only be if this new bill, which Governor Hickenlooper admitted on the radio yesterday, the magazine ban, he admitted it's close to unenforceable. But if we do a fantasy scenario and pretend that it could be enforceable, well, James Holmes built incredibly sophisticated bombs. I mean, I've talked to law enforcement who saw those bombs, and they were, you think about the bombs that have ever been explosive devices ever created by people in the United States who are not, government employees or government contractors. This is at the very high end. I mean, this is at the level of like Al Qaeda's best that he was building at, and so he couldn't buy. Supposedly, he could only have a 10-round magazine. Well, if he can build bombs, he can kill a lot of people that way. So what we need is real major improvements in the mental health system.
Exactly.
The guy like that, who is already making death threats to people, is taken off the streets and put in a mental institution where he can be treated and hopefully cured. And, that's an expensive thing to do. And it's one of the reasons we do so little of it in Colorado. But it's penny wise and pound foolish, because the money you spend on imagine what we could have spent on a civil commitment procedure and then institutionalization for homes for, 3 years or 15 years, whatever. It's a lot less than the cost to the victims and less than the cost of either incarcerating him for the rest of his life or incarcerating him for 2 decades till he gets executed.
Dave Kopel, Research Director at the Independence Institute. Thank you so much for your time, sir. Enjoy your weekend. Look forward to talking again soon.
Thank you very much.